Portland just, bottom line is they just played harder than us tonight, except for the last group. I showed one clip to our team, and it was a clip of Portland did a DHO. Mason kind of wore it over the top, and he defended the DHO the right way, got a deflection, dove on the ground. They came up with it. Everybody reacted to the loose ball, and so they're up in the passing lanes. They tried to throw the ball. Isaiah got a deflection. They came up with it again, and then they tried to drive, and they drove on us all night. Our weak side wasn't aware and didn't come over to help out on the dribble drive, but on that particular play, after our two deflections, them driving the ball, Mason was fantastic because his guy was going from the strong side of the floor to the weak side of the floor. He comes across and traps the box. And they end up kicking out. We get a great contest, great box out, we're going the other way. We didn't get that from our first 8 guys, if I'm saying it right. But the young guys, the last few minutes of the game, I thought tried to play hard, and I thought they tried to play the right way, but obviously getting beat by a young team because of how hard they played and how physical they played was a great learning experience. I wanted to play our starters at the end of the game tonight so that they can try to feel what it is like to play in a whole game, but they did not work with me in that situation to be able to play, and we're down 20, so I'm not going to risk that in a preseason game. So you got to give Portland a lot of credit just on how hard they played tonight, how physical they were tonight without fouling. I mean, they had 8 offensive rebounds in the first half for 13 second chance points. They had 18 free throws at halftime, on track for 36. So they were aggressive getting downhill, and we were just fouling and sending them to the free throw line. Their pressure, their ball pressure, and their physicality sped us up, and 27 turnovers for a game and 33 points. That might be a record for us. I don't know, but we can't turn the ball over the way that we did tonight. We tried. I told our guys this. I said we tried so many home run plays, whether it was scoring the ball or passing the ball, that their aggression and their physicality just knocked us off pace a little bit. Next thing you know, it's a turnover. So a lot of credit to Portland. I thought they did a great job, but I do think our guys didn't do a good job coming to play today.
Mike, physicality I know has been a huge focal point in preseason. Is part of learning how to play physical, not just when to dish it, but how to take it, and it seemed like the physicality Portland had really disrupted the half-court offense for you guys.
Yeah, and the tough part about it too is they were really aggressive in the lanes, and to start the game, man, we might have had 3 back doors the way that we're supposed to play that were wide open that we didn't see, and then we started trying to make the pass when it wasn't there, and so yes, their physicality was at a higher level than ours, and it got us on our heels, and the more we were on our heels, that's the more confident they became with it, and so I thought in game 2 of the preseason at Golden State, we were the more physical team, and we set the tone and pace of the game. And I thought tonight or today, I thought it was flipped, and we have to somehow, some way try to do that over the course of the season every time we step on the floor.
Mike, when you have a game like you're talking about with these turnovers, and coupled with the desire of wanting to see some of those regular guys play a little bit longer, like you wanted to today, does that disrupt maybe the evaluation of what you want to see from these next 2 games, or maybe the plan you have for these next 2 preseason tests?
No, it's still going to be the same. You know, I'd like to play our starters, to end the game, play our guys down the stretch to end the game. But again, if we're up big or if we're down big in a preseason game, it just doesn't make sense for me to keep those guys out there.
Mike, I know it's just preseason, but 3 games in, what are your biggest concerns that you're seeing from your team? Just like, because it seems like it's almost a moving target a little bit through the first 3 games.
It's a great question. It's a little too soon for me to give an answer. Obviously today, our lack of physicality coupled with our opponent's physicality and us not handling it well was not good. But I can't sit here and say it's going to be a trend of ours, because it's one preseason game. And just like we haven't shot the ball well from the 3-point line, but I truly believe we're going to be a better 3-point shooting team than that. I don't know what we're shooting on the year with us shooting 17 tonight. I think we shot 27 in game 2 and maybe 20 in game 1. So we'll be a better 3-point shooting team than that. So there are some things that are kind of standing out now that I think will be better for us as we go along, and I thought, I think offensively, I think we're gonna have a chance to be pretty good, in game 1 and game 2 at halftime, I think we're hovering right around 60 points for both games, and so I saw some good things, but it's too early for me right now to say, hey, this is a concern or that's a concern.
Mike, when you guys are having some offensive struggles, those turnovers kind of like happen in that second and third, how much do you look towards the 3 stars on this team to sort of reset everything?
Well, we didn't turn the ball over just in the second, third. I think, man, I could be wrong, but I think we had 9 turnovers at the quarter. And so if you got 9 turnovers at the quarter, that's a big chunk of our starting 5 that's out there, because Domas played 10 straight minutes. Keegan played 10 straight minutes. Foxy and Mar, I think, and Keegan both came out, but I put them back in before the quarter was over. So each of our starters played 8 to 10 minutes in that first quarter. And amongst them, we had 9. And they had a lot of points out. So we didn't even give ourselves a chance to even get a look at the rim because we were turning it over. And a lot of them early on were unforced, but as the game went along and their belief increased, their physicality increased, and our belief started going down a little bit, and that's not a great recipe versus any NBA team. So I wouldn't say our turnovers were just in the second and third. They were throughout the course of the game, but it started off with us having 9 turnovers in that first quarter.
Coach Brown, I'm gonna swing this direction. Donovan Clingan, come off the bench, 17 minutes, 10 points, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks, 1 steal. Well, I just want to get your assessment of him. I know it's still early, but he was part of that, their physicality as well.
Yeah, and so what I will say, and I'm glad you brought that up, because both their bigs gave us problems. And the first problem with both their bigs is when we would go help on the dribble drive, again, one of our biggest areas of concern defensively last year was we couldn't contain the ball. We were 27th containing the dribble drive, and then we weren't great at the rim. And so when we were going to help, when we did do it, whether it's the dribble drive or pick and roll, Clingan and Ayton, they were rolling and they were sitting at the charge line, and nobody touched them. Nobody was touching them. Like, there was not an ounce of physicality coming from any of our guys especially when Domas took his body off him. Does everybody follow me? When Domas does that, somebody's got to protect Domas. And we literally were just standing there with a hand on those guys. And when that ball was missed, they're coming up with the rebound because they're bigger than anybody else we have, first of all, on our team, but especially on the backside if Domus comes to help. So I told our guys, I said, hey, when you sink to either one of those guys, I said, please pick up a foul. I said this during the game. I said, I just want somebody to hit one of those guys and root them out of bounds instead of just keeping a hand on them there and letting them come up with the offensive rebound and possible putback. So we weren't good sinking physically to a body, especially with those two guys, Klingon being one of them. Now, when the young, it was great because when Isaac came to the game, you see it, Alex was fighting his ass off trying to box Klingon out at 7'3" and a good rebounder. But Isaac's athleticism and size and his nose for the ball, he came in and went over the top of Klingon and got a big rebound for us. And that's what we need from everybody when we play teams with size like this. But his impact offensively as well as Aiden's was huge. We couldn't do much with him on the glass. And then defensively, I mean, we kept trying to challenge those guys at the rim. And, I told our guys, just make the simple play. If one of those guys steps up, that means somebody's probably open. And we're going to need to look to spray the ball. But to try to challenge those guys at the rim, it's almost like a turnover because those guys are long. So I like the way Klingon, especially as a young guy, impacted the game as well as Aiden. But for him being a young guy, he used his size and length and awareness to block shots or challenge shots at a really, really high level.
Mike, in the preseason, a lot of times there's a tendency to chalk things up to, well, this is just the preseason. But as much as you preach the details and want the consistency and all that stuff, how important is it not to, for the guys in the room, not to just dismiss it as kind of a preseason thing?
Yeah, we shouldn't dismiss this. Now, and I say this with the understanding that I thought, again, in game 2, we were pretty good. It was almost like we were a third of the way through the season. I thought in our last unit that they struggled. Golden State scored 18 points in the paint in the fourth quarter, and they went to the free throw line quite a bit. So our young group struggled to close the game. And I thought even in game 1 too, we didn't play great in game 1, but I thought for a first preseason game, we were pretty good. We could have cleaned some stuff up, which we did going into game 2 in terms of the 3-point shooting. But we can't dismiss, how hard they played tonight and compared to us. And, we can't dismiss the 27 turnovers because a lot of them were self-inflicted. We can't dismiss our inability to keep them out of the paint on dribble drives and us not coming over and trapping the box and then sinking or filling to bodies on the backside of the physical. We can't dismiss it. We got to make sure we understand that, hey, this is part of our growth. Let's be better the next time we step on the floor because, like I said, we're going to do this, then we're going to do this. And hopefully when we do this, it's not here, but it's here, and then we're back on track. So, very, very good game for us to hopefully learn from and grow from so that we can see if there's a change our next time out. We play another team with a big young center in Kessler Edwards, and it's the same thing. Are we going to allow him to hurt us on the offensive glass if we have to go help? Are we going to allow the ball to get to the paint as much as it did tonight? Are we going to turn the ball over as much as we did tonight? So we got to grow hopefully after every game and practice, no matter if it's the preseason or the regular season.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.